Hello, everybody. We are again in another hangout with Peter Milligan and Sophie Sandow. And we are continuing a little bit of a topic that we started in the last hangout about passion. We are passionate people about what we do, and we like to talk and think about it. So today is, do you have the courage to follow your passion? Because many times you need some courage, because following your passion is something very, very nice to hear. But there is society, there are friends, there are family, there are colleagues, and many times you have a problem in following your passion, because the easiest thing is not to follow your passion. So what what I would like to start with one question for Peter and Sophie that I think it's interesting to do this challenge. What is passion? So what do you think is passion? How you define, how you exemplify it? Who wants to start?
Well, I'm happy to start. I think for me, passion is focused energy. It's something that we feel and it drives us along. So I think I might have told the story in the last hangout how I was working in software development in my first career, and then one day I was traveling to work on a bus and I heard these teenagers talking about a new programming language, and I knew straight away that the future was grim for me because I had no desire to learn another language, and I knew right then I'd lost the passion for my profession. It wasn't about ability, it was just about interest, desire, drive. And then a year later, when I discovered the idea of studying psychology and pursued that as a profession, the passion was back. It took me 7 years to qualify. I could have learned a new programming language in 7 weeks. Why? Because I had the drive, the desire, the interest. So it's a kind of an energy within us, I think, and you see it coming alive on people when you're talking to or listening to them talk. You know whether they're passionate or not by the amount of energy that comes out of them. Sophie,
Yeah.
what's your view?
Yeah, well, I agree what you said there, and I also think that passion is something that it changes over lives. You know, one year you have one passion, and the next year you can have one, and it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Another thing I thought about is that you have to sort of challenge yourself sometimes to discover what you're passionate about. Because I don't know if anyone of you have tried something like Bikram yoga. It's a horrible experience. The first 90 minutes, it's really hot and sweaty, and you're like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But you have to do it several times to actually realize it's your passion and that you like it. It's nothing, you know, sometimes comfortable, and then you realize that this is something that's really good for me. I love it. I'm growing myself. And I also agree with you. Like, you can see when someone is passionate immediately, but it's very hard to measure.
One of the things that I think about passion is that passion attracts everything. So passion attracts resources. So many times people are thinking, oh, I cannot get funding for my project. I cannot get people to my team. But I think that many times the problem is that you are not passionate about what you're trying to attract others. So even in personal relations, if you don't like yourself, if you are not passionate about yourself, I don't mean being egocentric, because we are all egocentric. That's another thing that people tend to think, okay, I'm not egocentric. Everybody's egocentric. We see the world through our own eyes, not from the eyes of others. So we are egocentric on that. But the thing is that we might have some inferiority complex or something like that, and that will not attract others because people don't like to be depressed. They like to be happy. So passion attracts other people to give their time, to give their energy, their resources, and that is for me an important issue in terms of passion. And passion, if you conjugate your work with your passion, suddenly you don't you are not working in a way that you are like, oh, doing a tremendous effort. I'm doing this because I have to get the money and things like that. And you start doing things in a much more easy way. You maybe are working more hours than ever, but you don't feel that.
Yeah.
Because you are passionate about it.
Yeah.
But I just want. Can I just add one thing? I agree with you, Filipe. It's like very true that often when you start a new venture, a new project, you can feel so much energy. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to sleep. But also, when it comes to responsibility and power, you're very passionate about changing something. Responsibility and power also comes with lots of admin things, and it comes with sitting with spreadsheets for hours to do calculations. You know, that is what comes when you're doing big projects. Even though you are very passionate for it from the beginning, you know, it's there, and that's something you just have to take. But you will sort of surf on your passion partly, and then when you go down and you have to do all the things that you probably didn't really count on, but you will still be committed in yourself because that is part of it. It's part of the journey.
And also, I think passion brings you resilience. Because if you are really passionate about something, you are willing to sacrifice a lot because of that passion, and that is resilience in my view. If you don't have passion, if you only have a good feeling about it, you are not resilient probably. And so let's talk about courage. About this, why courage to follow your passion? Who wants to pick the ball?
Yeah, I can start. I think it's first of all about making choices. You know, you can make a choice one day to do something that people will criticize, or you can make a choice one day to do things that people will just agree with. And when it comes to courage and finding your courage and be aware that people will criticize you and do it anyway, I think it's a gift when you do that. I think it's a gift for humanity, and so many people have been very courageous before us. I was just listening to a documentary at the BBC this morning about women who are fighting for women's rights in better, well, political rights, rights to their children, rights not to be owned. You know, all these fights that was going on until quite recently and still going on. In the UK, it was allowed to rape your wife in marriage until 1991. So it's not that far away that, you know, people were fighting for their rights. And they were courageous. They were fighting against rules in society that's been there for hundreds of years. And why do it? You know, lots of these people fighting for rights, they destroy their lives because of it. And okay, this is very dramatic, and courage can also be like doing something new and challenging yourself. But often when courage and passion is formed together, you're doing something for more people. You know, passion can be very sort of egocentric first, but when you do it for more people, it becomes, I don't even know if it's a word for it, but it's passion and courage that's very pro improvements in the society. I think that's very admirable.
Peter, any thoughts about courage?
Yeah, I agree with what Sophie was saying, and you know, sometimes being the first person or one of the first to push for something requires a lot of courage, because you're going against what most people seem to be thinking or pushing for. I think one of the fascinating things about the word courage in the English language, it comes from the French word for heart, and it comes from the heart, and it's very much about, it is about giving, not just about doing something for yourself in an egocentric way. So last week I watched the movie Selma. I don't know if either of you have seen that, about Martin Luther King.
Yeah, I know the movie, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yes, well, I highly recommend it, and I think if you ever wanted to see examples of courage, you can watch that, because those people were truly risking their lives as much as risking ridicule from other people. And to go into a place where you are certainly not welcome and your views are not accepted, and to stand firm requires enormous courage that, you know, I think the majority of us would struggle to find. But it's very inspiring, and yeah, so I think we need more of it.
Yeah.
There is one thing that is interesting, because if you follow your passion, but you really don't have much difficulties in following your passion. Let's imagine that you are a multimillionaire and your passion is to live in an island, and you buy the island and you live in the island, and that's it. There is not much story about it. But if you have the passion and you have the courage to make difficult choices, to do a different path than others, something else happens that is very interesting and that people, I think, value a lot afterwards. That is, you create a story. You create a story that can be an inspiring story for others. So, for instance, with the example that you were giving about the movie Selma, it's clearly a story. People didn't realize that at that point they were creating a story that would be much bigger than themselves. And it would be a story that would inspire generations, that would create movies and books and things about it that they didn't imagine at that point. At that point, they were thinking about the next day, the next hour, the next minute, how to survive in the next minute.
Well, I would like to disagree on that to some degree, because I think what it was having a vision. A bigger vision beyond just the immediate. And there was a very powerful scene in the movie when on one of their marches they were beaten terribly, and I think someone may have been killed, but one of the young men, when they regrouped, said, I can get a gun, and I can get some guns and we can just go and attack them. And Martin Luther King said, no, you can't, or him or one of his team said, no, you cannot do that. So while you could fully understand the emotion in that moment, and you might even call it a kind of a passion that's driving this desire to get revenge, it was having a bigger vision, and it was coming from a place of love and an ultimate outcome that people could hold it together. Because as they rightly said, if you start doing that, you're going to destroy what we're trying to create.
But in the middle, I don't disagree totally with you. But in the middle, when you are, what I meant with what I said is, when you are in the midst of it, you have doubts. And
oh yes, of course. By definition, that's the sign of courage, isn't it? To act even though you have the doubt.
You have many times your people that surround you against you or not supporting. You have a part of you not supporting yourself, and there is a small part of you that is the last corner of passion that is pulling you further and further. And when you do that, and when you accomplish, you get 100% of you behind you, and you get people inspired by your story. So that's what I meant. That there is, because many people think that. Now that's my view, is that many people think that if you are passionate about it, you are 100% secure about what you are doing the whole time, and that is not true.
No.
The normal thing is that you will have doubts, that you will think, it's a kind of, I always have this image of dying at the beach. So you don't reach your goal, you are almost there, and you have that feeling, I might die on the beach, and I will not reach the goal. So that's the thing, that you have really to be courageous about it and resilient in order
Sorry, what's the
to
beach?
get it.
Are you moving towards the sea, or are you coming from the sea when you die on the beach?
Coming from the sea, coming from the sea.
Ah, okay.
So you get inland, but it's not your goal. You can use two images. If you are more American, you can use D-Day image, or if you are from Europe nowadays, you can see the migrants that are coming into Europe,
Yes.
and many of them die on the seashore of Europe.
Yeah.
So it's like you are almost getting to your dream, and unfortunately you die. So doubts are normal. You can have those doubts, and also I think courage has to do with comfort zone. Don't you think so, Peter?
Yes,
Sophie?
it must do. Must do. Often what you really want and what you dream about is something you haven't really explored. Like for me, I'm often very passionate about new things when I'm learning. I'm like a lifelong learner about almost anything. And when I'm writing and creating any kind of new content for my talks, I'm out there, I'm searching for new information, which sometimes, it's not like I'm staying in my comfort zone and writing what I'm knowing. I'm writing about things that I'm not knowing about. And I'm speaking about things that I don't know everything about yet, but I want to. So in the search for this information, and my comfort zone would be to talk about things that I've already explored. That is not what my interest is.
Mm-hmm.
So the comfort zone is expanding, and by learning. And it's my self-drive doing it. It's nobody telling me that I have to.
There's a great quote that I think someone said it was Gandhi, but it says, "We live in a circle, the circumference of which is our fear."
Let me interrupt for a moment. I think Sophie microphone is doing some feedback.
Okay, well, I will put on my
Turn
headphones.
the volume down
Somebody's
of
got
the
feedback.
loudspeakers. I think you are using loudspeakers, correct?
Yeah, I'm stopped. I have my headphone in now.
Okay.
Let's try that.
Okay.
That sounds better. Thank you. Yeah, so there was a great quote, and I'd love to know the source. Someone said it was Gandhi, but we live in the center of a circle, the circumference of which is our fear. So, one person's comfort zone is another person's courage. Some people, it's a big thing to travel to another country. If you've done it a lot, it's no big deal. But whatever it is, each of us needs to keep going to that edge and stepping over it and finding, having new experiences and trying new things. And that's really the definition of courage for me, is to be able to go beyond what's comfortable, but do it with a sense of purpose, I guess.
One question that I would like to address with you guys: what happens when people don't follow their passions?
Well, I believe that many people are. There are several times when I've been, like when I was younger, I was often waiting for approval from others, and I was like waiting for someone to say that this is all right. But I had lots of ideas. I was very creative. So of course people couldn't imagine that that was possible, what I was talking about. So it creates I think it creates a kind of guilt. You feel guilty because later in life you might have realize that would have been possible, so you feel guilty that you didn't take the chance. So that's one thing. And then I also do believe that lots of people feel lots of regret, because passion and courage could be to sustain good relationships with your friends and family, and many people don't have the courage to sort out problems. They just leave it, and I think that is something. It's a horrible feeling. Someone is dying or someone is passing away, and you haven't really sorted out the problems, and that takes, it's orientating yourself in life, what you think is good for you, and also sort of get rid of things that's holding you back. In many cases, what is it that's holding you back? Is it someone else's opinion, and does that opinion really matter? And why do you care so much about that opinion? So yeah, I do believe that it creates a lot of guilt. And then I had a teacher once when I was doing one of my writing seminars. There was a teacher telling me that, Sophie, if you don't do this now, someone else is going to do it. So I'm often having that voice inside me when I'm thinking, shall I publish this or not? Will people judge me? Will I'm crazy? I'm thinking, okay, but if I do this now, someone else might do it. So I'm like, and that is also like helping me to orientate myself to grab the chance when it's there and not wait for too long.
Peter,
remind me of the question.
The question is, what happens when you don't follow your passion? Because we are talking about being courageous enough to follow your passion, but what happens?
Well, I think you start dying one day at a time. I think you lose your... You just... Part of you knows that there's something bigger to be doing or something to be being, and you're not doing that. You're just following a process, a script that's been handed to you that's not really who you are. So, yeah, I think you just die one day at a time.
You know, I just remembered a story about what you were talking about, die one day at a time. I will try to make it a short story. I will start from the end and then go to the beginning. At the end, I'm in São Paulo, Brazil, and I'm signing a book to a friend. And on the book, I'm saying with my admiration. And this guy gets the book and he says, "Why admiration? Why you admire me?" And I answer, "Because you are not a prostitute." And he's like, "What?" And now going back, so let's do a flashback. So he was in college with me. He ended up being top of his course, and he got a very nice job. He went from Lisbon to work in Madrid, and he went all up the ladder, and then he was invited to go with the same company to do a big business in Brazil. So he went even up and up, and he was having a terrific life, terrific wage, house, car, everything, all the benefits of being in a great position inside a company. And sorry, and at some point he thought, this is not for me. So, and that was really, really courageous to act on that, because he asked for his resignation, and he started doing things like pottery courses and things like that, and to find himself. And when I met him several years after, so I got, let's say, the story, he was at the time, and now I believe so also, a very happy person, with a very happy relationship, working as a consultant, as a teacher, and doing what he liked with the people that he liked. And the thing is that why I say why he was not a prostitute. Prostitutes, by definition, they sell their body for money. The problem is that we are entering many times situations that we sell our soul for money.
Yeah.
So we are a kind of soul prostitutes, is what I normally call. Is that okay? It's not our body, but it's our soul. So it's even worse, because maybe the soul's prostitute is still free, but it's not. The body is not his commodity.
Yeah.
So it's a strong image for it.
Yeah, but I do believe that many people do that. They sell their values. You know, they try to be someone else 8 hours a day at work, who they are not, and they're behaving in a way which is just, you know, that is what is we expect this from you, or it's often it's a bad manager that's doing it. I had that kind of manager once. You know, he expected certain behavior from people in the group, and that is what he got. But people felt awful. They were not there because they enjoyed his company. They were there only to get the paycheck. So, you know, how long can you take that? I think it's different. Different people can take it for longer. Others sort of just have to stop it.
You know, the thing is that I have found a lot of cases where people they discover this kind of stuff. They go into their introspection and they see, okay, I'm living a life that I really don't enjoy. I have all the benefits of that life. That is, let's say, less bad than not having even the benefits. Maybe in that it creates an uncomfortable zone. So it will be like kind of incentive. Okay, I'm not doing well, so let's go out. But if you are surrounded by benefits, if you are surrounded by people that are saying, wow, you are so good, you are doing a terrific job, it's fantastic, I would love to be like you, and you are thinking, I would love to be like you. So I would love to be free, I would love to be to do this kind of stuff. So but you go, as time goes by, you get a family, you get a mortgage, you get colleagues that are like looking up to you, and at some point you are not living your own life, you are living the life of your bank, family, colleagues, friends, that they would like you to have it, but you are not really living your life. And that, I think, creates a lot of frustrations. But by the way, there was a word that was that appeared there, that it was regret, and I did kind of analysis about what regrets are, and regrets, it's in my view, and this is a very personal one, and I can explain how I arrived to this conclusion. It's one of the most stupid things that we can have. Why? Because we don't live in parallel realities. Even, and this unfortunately goes for decision and not making a decision. So if we make a decision or we don't make a decision, we will alter the future either way. So, for instance, if I do with my hand like this, and now I do like this, I will alter the future in a small way, but I will, because something different will happen. So should I regret that I put my hand like this or like this? I shouldn't, because I don't know what would happen if I didn't do like that with my hands. So I remember talking with an Irish friend and at the airport, and he was explaining, oh, I regret that I didn't kiss that girl in that moment. And I said, well, why? Because I think she was perfect for me, and I think we could have made it very well. And I told him, okay, so let's imagine that you have kissed the girl, you start a terrific relationship, you go to the south of France to do some holidays, and you are driving the car happy, and some bus comes and crashes against your car, and you are both killed. Do you like the future? It's a possibility among millions of others, and it could be a good thing or a bad thing. So this is my personal view about regrets.
It's so funny you say that, because I was writing, because I'm working on a book, and I was writing that exact stuff this morning, because we don't know.
I'm hacking your computer.
Yeah, you must have, because you know, we've probably heard this. Many people have heard the story about the, you know, what's good luck and what's bad luck. Have you heard that story? So a man,
please share.
So a man has a farm, and he has horses, and then one day his horse runs away, And all the people in the village say, that's terrible, bad luck. We really feel sorry for you. And he said, well, who knows whether it's good luck or bad luck? And then the next day the horse returns and it has a whole lot of wild horses following it. So suddenly he's got all these extra horses, and people say, oh, that's so lucky, you're so lucky, that's great. And then one thing happens after another, but what looks like good luck today can be bad luck tomorrow, and vice versa. How the hell do we know? And I used to do a lot of outplacement work. I sat with people in their darkest hour when they'd just lost their job, they'd been made redundant after 20 years. And I saw so many people go on that difficult journey, but eventually said that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I really wasn't happy there, and I'm now in a much better place, earning better money, loving what I do. So what looked like bad luck ends up being good luck. But we just don't know, do we?
Mm-hmm.
But we have this tendency of thinking that the things that we didn't do, or the things that the decisions that we made,
Regret,
that we
yeah.
think that
If
are wrong.
only I had, yes, yes.
The alternative future is always better.
Yes, yes.
Nothing bad happens in this alternative future.
Yeah.
It's I remember a small episode in my life, an old one, because I was driving with my car, and I had a cassette in my car, so I was hearing some music. So what happened in those times is that sometimes the cassette would have a problem, so it started like entangling itself, and I had to stop the car, and I was like furious because I liked that cassette, and I was like, oh Jesus, I broke this cassette. So it took like 2 minutes. So I continued my journey, and then I see a car crash of let's say 20 cars crash one after the other. So
and
you
would have been there if that cassette hadn't played up, yeah?
I'm passing there, and I see a friend of mine in that accident, and I stopped the car and I said, do you need any assistance or something like that? She said, well, I was going also on holidays, and my car is completely broken now. So I said, well, when did this happen? And he said, well, 2 minutes ago.
Ah.
So it was the time I would be on that accident. I was furious with,
yes.
But that bad luck saved me from an accident. And you have a lot of these kind of situations, like people that are losing a plane. They are like, Jesus, I lost the plane, and then the plane. So, and they are starting. Well, okay. So we never know what is the alternative future. So being depressed about things that we did do or didn't do or did is a little bit stupid in my view. What we have to understand is that the person that we are, the things that we are doing now, is a consequence of everything that we did and we didn't do.
Yeah.
And work on that.
And therefore, whatever's happening is perfect. You know, I often say if people knew better, they'd do better. I mean, if you really knew that you were going to get a different outcome, you would have gone that way. But you didn't know. You did what you did at the time, and that's what you thought was best. If it turned out not to be best, you've learned a lesson, which you had to learn, because by definition, if you hadn't made the mistake, you wouldn't have learned the lesson. If you've learned the lesson, you don't need to make the mistake. I think it's called the getting of wisdom. So we're all on that journey.
Yeah, it's like a very existential question, like the choices we can make for the future. Like, it's good that you don't think about that all the time, because then you will be very, very conscious about every single decision. But I do think it's good to be reminded. I'm often reminded by, I don't know, people around me about the vulnerability, and that, you know, we don't have all the time in the world. Try to sort of sort things out that is possible. Get going with things. I was speaking for teenagers the other day in a school, and we were 3 panelists and 3 speakers, and I reminded them that, you know, don't wait, don't hold back with things. You know, if you're very interested in something, show that, you know, apply early, be there early, show up early. And that's my values and my what is guiding me very often is that if I'm very interested in something, I'm there, I'm prepared, I've done my homework before I go into the meeting, whatever it is. And I think that's also like showing your personality and your identity. You know, it becomes part of you, your habits, and what you're repeating and doing on a regular basis. But it's scary. It's like really, really scary when you said that about the plane crash. A friend of mine, she and her 4 siblings, they missed a plane to Italy when she was a kid. That plane crashed. So since she told me that story, I've been like, shit, my God. Like always thought about that. It's like, okay, it's okay to do that kind of mistakes, because I was often blaming myself, whatever, if I missed a train or anything. It's not happened that often, but it is a situation that makes you feel very guilty.
And I think that's coming back to Filipe's point about, you know, regret and guilt as well, is that, oh, I should have done this differently, but we don't know that was the right thing. Maybe there was another reason for it that we just don't know, and maybe we'll never know. But it's wherever you are, it's make the best of it and make the best decision you can. But one other thing I'd like to say about courage, I think we use the word encourage a lot too, because it's really important to encourage each other. I think one of the mistakes we make, I certainly do, is we look at other people and we think their lives are perfect. They seem to have it all sorted out, and sometimes we feel like we're the only one who's finding it difficult or struggling or having self-doubt. So number one is, I think it's helpful to share that so that people understand that, you know, we're all human. And I think it encourages other people then, because they think, well, if that person's had some self-doubt and had to make some courageous decisions, maybe I can do that too.
By the way, what is the advice that you could give to people to find, because you are people that follow your passion. You are doing what you want from life, and that is always remarkable, because we are a minority, we are not a majority. So what would be your advice to people to find inside themselves, because you cannot let's say go to the pharmacy and give me 3 pills of courage. So how you can find the courage inside of yourself to follow your passion? What would be your advice? And before you answer, I would like to ask our audience if there is any question, please feel free. You can do on the Q&A through the YouTube or through Google+. There is always a possibility of putting questions, and we will be very glad to answer them. So who wants to give their recipe for inner courage?
I think it's partly about knowing that it is going to be uncomfortable at times. I think in our society we want to avoid risk, we want to avoid discomfort. We've somehow grown into this world where we try and shield ourselves from that all the time. And I think so I know a very successful entrepreneur here in the UK, and he said I expect things are going to be hard. He said, I expect when I start a project or I'm writing that not everyone's going to like it and that it may fail. You know, he kind of goes in with that attitude, like, I don't expect everything's going to be easy. And that's really interesting, because it's not that he's looking for struggle, it's just that he recognizes it's going to be tough, it's going to be uncomfortable, and that's okay. I think that's one of the keys. So for anyone, it's making little steps. You know, I'm not saying that everyone has to just give up their corporate job tomorrow and, you know, go and do something totally different, although that's fine if they do. There may be little steps you can take inside.
Maybe because even their passion is to have that corporate job, and it's fine.
Well, yes. So the first thing I think is, who are you and what do you really want? What's important to you? Because there isn't a simple one-size-fits-all solution. You know, you might just need a slightly different job, or you might just need a slightly different attitude to the job you already have, and that could be the step for you. Maybe there's one conversation you need to have with your boss or someone else in the organization that can open up new doors for you. Maybe that's all you need to do.
Yeah,
So it may be a baby step.
Yeah, no, very good comments, Peter. One thing I think is very important is to get to know yourself and why you believe what you believe. Is it because other people have put it on you? You know, our parents and the people we grew up with, they are raising us to believe in their values. Is that something that you agree with or not? I think it's a good question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
And then see if you can track your story and see where things are coming from. I'm often driven by passion and also being very angry about things around me, like things that I see is wrong. I decided very, very early when I was like a teenager that I'm going to work with international leadership in one way or another. I didn't really know how, but I known it for a long, long time that I'm going to work with leadership because I've seen so many bad leaders. You know, I was not starting to talk about leadership in public because I think leadership is great. I started to do it because I think it was awful. You know, I saw so many things that were not treated fairly and people who were uncomfortable. I was like, this is not right. So I think it's important to be guided by yourself and then also see what is it that you are really interested in and what is it that makes you really angry. It's the first step. And then I also believe that it's good to have sounding boards around you of people who want to have respectful conversations. I'm still searching for more of these forums around me, like where can you go to have a respectful conversation about things that really matter, and don't go somewhere where people just threw their view of life on you. This is how it is, and I'm often feeling like, no, and that is not going to help me to develop my sort of courage and passion. My courage and passion is developed by respectful conversations about certain topics, and often deep topics. You know, think about how much time you spend every week talking about things that really matter. You know, how much time do you spend thinking and talking to people who really matter and talking about topics that really matter? Or are you spending your life talking about things that actually are totally irrelevant? I do that sometimes, and I try to focus on topics that really interest me, give me something, you know, give me intellectual food and like mental courage to go further.
I will add to what Peter and Sophie said two more things. One is that you have, like we talk about in management, we talk about mission and vision of organizations. It is very important that at some point in life, the earlier as possible, you ask what is your mission, what is your vision, because without that you have like you really cannot understand what is your passion, what you are aiming for, and this is a process that you cannot do it in 1 day, 2 days. You have to, like, if you ask to any company how you did your mission and vision statement, they will not say, well, we put ourselves in one afternoon and we did that. No, it's something that took time. We asked for consultants. We did some benchmarking. We tried to understand what are the trends and things like this. So this is the correct process. So you have to understand that, and you have to also fine-tune your mission and vision through time. And it's very important that you understand that. And the second thing is that you have to surround yourself with the people that are, let's say, able to contribute in a positive way to your vision and mission. So many times people surround themselves, and that's why, for instance, Sophie was talking about conversations with people that they are not very good for conversation topics. So, but they don't want to leave that comfort zone and meet people that are like themselves. And Sophie, for instance, and myself, we are in an organization called JCI. Junior Chamber International. And one of the things that I saw happening is that I meet there people that are just like me around the world. So it's and they are far, far away. So I can have meaningful conversations with them, and I can have meaningful conversation with you guys, for instance. So it's also important. So this is my view how you can get that inner courage. First of all, try to understand what is your mission and vision, and second, surround yourself with the perfect team for it. What do you think about it? Any disagreements, any regrets about it?
Well, I agree with you. I agree. You know, having people around you, but the mission and vision on a personal level, I think it's a very big existential question that many people can feel quite. I don't know. You feel so overwhelmed, so you stop thinking about it. And, you know, for some people it's easy to find it. Some people they are like very clear when they're young, and some people are not. And we are different.
Yeah. You were clear about what you wanted.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Sort of. Yeah.
So, at this point, we reach our time. So, at this point, I would like to thank Peter and Sophie for these insights. It's always great to hear you guys and to exchange views. And I think also for our audience is important. Also, if they are looking for that courage, how to follow that passion, I think we gave here some important clues how to do it. And see you next time, guys.
Yeah, thank you. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.